It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob in 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You can win big every Wednesday on the KSL Sports Zone with Win Ticket Wednesday. Next Wednesday, you can win tickets to go see Cyndi Lauper, August 14th, the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. Don't miss Cyndi Lauper's Girls Just Want to Have Fun farewell tour. Get tickets now at livenation.com or listen all day on Wednesday for your chance to win. Time for the top 3 stories of the day, KSLSports.com. It's brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love. J. Brooks Jewelers explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, Utah has a new offensive coordinator in Jason Beck, but it's not new to Devon Dampier, who played in the system last year at New Mexico.
Tweaks. Coach Beck is the coach that, he looks for the best out of his players, and, he finds a way to get them in their best situation. So, different guys can do different things, and we explore those talents.
I am curious about that. Will the continuity year after year be a big plus for Devon Dampier? You would imagine it certainly would. The hard part is it's basically brand new for everybody else around him.
That was kind of a non-answer, no? I don't know what I learned from that clip. Play that again.
Just small tweaks. Coach Beck is the coach that, he looks for the best out of his players, and, he finds a way to get them in their best situation. So, different guys can do different things, and we explore those talents.
Okay, so he said small tweaks. Okay, that's answering the question.
Yeah.
Small tweaks. It's not really thoroughly answering the question, I suppose, but that would lead me, small tweaks, that would lead me to believe that if you want to see what Utah's offense is going to look like, truly go back and watch New Mexico last year.
The difficult thing with that is if you watch New Mexico last year, a lot of their production, and I didn't watch 12 New Mexico games last year, but when I did watch them, I think they played a week 0 game against Arizona. Am I right about that? Because I remember going back and watching that game. Ted McMillan had, I think, 300 yards. But Devon Dampier was just running all over them. And look, that's applicable because at least Arizona is a Big 12 school, and he was able to flash his brilliance against them. But I do worry sometimes about superior athletes, and Devon Dampier is a superior athlete, being able to run all over inferior teams, and then you get to the Big 12 and you can no longer just out-athlete everybody else.
That's an interesting question. What is the gap between the Mountain West and the Big 12?
That's what we're trying to learn.
I mean, that's obviously subjective.
Ask Kyle Whittingham, it's enormous. From the Pac-12, from the Mountain West Conference to the Pac-12, it was enormous.
Yeah, that was convenient to sell at the time.
It was.
I'm not discarding that by any means, but yeah, I'm sure that was an adjustment. But we talked about Utah State basketball the other day. They have had very little problem adjusting to the Mountain West Conference. So that's a really interesting question. Athletically speaking, Christian Cox is going to join us in the 11 o'clock hour. I'd be interested to get his opinion on that because he actually played for Utah during that period. So I'd be curious to get his thoughts. He'd probably tell you it was a pretty big step, I'm guessing. But that's interesting. Like, he ran for 1,200 yards last year. If New Mexico were in the Big 12, would that have been 800? 600?
I'm also curious what happened. Now, look, maybe it's because 3 of these games were non-conference games, though Montana State, and they lost to Montana State, so that's not a good outing. They lost to Arizona. They lost to Auburn, which is a good non-conference schedule. At Arizona, at Auburn is really tough for New Mexico. They went 0-3. And Devon Dampier was good. I mentioned he was great against Arizona. He had 130 yards on the ground. He had 260 yards through the air. He had 3 touchdowns through the air. Do you have any rushing touchdowns? I don't know. Yes, he had 2 rushing touchdowns. So he had counted for 5 touchdowns in that game.
That's the one where he had like the fake pitch.
Yeah.
Right, that got everybody excited about him, and probably why he jumped onto radars immediately for next year's transfer portal and now ended up at Utah. Over his last 6 games, Devon Dampier went crazy running the ball. He went over 100 yards all but one game. That was at Colorado State in a game where they couldn't move the ball hardly at all, or at least they couldn't score. They lose 17-6, but he did put up big yards, 320 yards through the air. 51 yards on the ground, though. Clearly, they felt like they could attack him through the air. But over his final 6 games, he averaged 130 yards on the ground. That's huge. That's a huge outing.
Yeah.
And 784 yards total. So I'm curious where the change was in that approach. He also had 11 touchdowns on the ground and only 5 touchdowns through the air against 6 interceptions. So there was a shift midseason for him to run more. And I wonder what that shift was.
Oh, who was talking about this the other day? Maybe it was Bronco himself. Was saying that New Mexico, they thought they were going to throw the ball a lot last year because they had these stud receivers who did not turn out to be studs. It was Bronco talking with Scotty the other day. Yeah, he was saying they started out the season at New Mexico last year thinking like, oh, they've got some guys on the outside who didn't turn out to be guys, and then they leaned really into the run game and the zone read. So it'll be interesting to see, I guess, where they start at Utah as opposed to where they finish, which is true about any team. But maybe Dampier can throw it a little bit more than he got credit for last year because they leaned so far into the run.
Maybe. Or maybe Bronco's a good coach and recognized what he couldn't do and stopped asking him to do it.
Maybe.
And maybe it was the receivers. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know the bozo factor on the receivers. That's the thing. I'm just telling you what Bronco said.
Yeah.
I'm sure the father of said receiver would tell a different story.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, they were better going with more of the running approach, whoever's issue that was.
Worth noting. Well, and look, correlation isn't causation or vice versa. Dampier's 5 best passing games when he threw for more than 250 yards last year, they were 1-4.
Yeah, see, there you go.
And their one win was against Utah State, 50-45. So it
Real
was just
scorcher.
It was a scorcher. But his best passing games, at least as far as raw yardage, they were not good. I would also say, and look, this is where I believe in the correlation. Every time he threw for more than 250 yards, he also had 2 interceptions. Meaning when you let him throw the ball, he throws the ball away. He gives it away. Mm-hmm. That's not all that reassuring. That it's going to be a wide open, throw the ball over the field offense. And to that point, you're probably better off holding onto the ball and making a play with your legs than turning it over.
Or just handing it off to your running back.
By the way, in games when he had fewer than 250 yards passing, he had 1 total interception.
Yeah, right.
Over 7 games. That's a big deal. That's a big, big difference. Over 250 yards, he had 5 games, and he had 11 interceptions.
I think you're overselling that, Ben, because Witt's fine with turnovers.
Witt loves that.
He's been fine with those
Especially
over the years.
Quarterbacks.
So, I don't know how relevant that is.
Throwing the ball all over the field.
What's next?
Number 2, former Jazzman Johnny Juzang signs with the Minnesota Timber Jazz.
According to Sham Charania this morning, it's a 1-year deal. I'll be curious if it's a non-guaranteed 1-year deal, fully guaranteed 1-year deal. You may not know about that. But good for Johnny.
I don't believe you.
What do you not believe?
That you said good for Johnny.
I like Johnny.
You guys notoriously don't like each other.
Do I not like Johnny?
Well, you called him fat.
I never called Johnny fat.
To his face, and he didn't like it.
I called George Niang fat.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't Johnny. No, I'm mixing up George Niang. I don't know why I pictured George Niang in my mind. Oh,
I don't
good
care
for
Johnny. I don't care where George Niang goes. I don't care where fat George Niang goes.
Oh, no, where's George Niang?
Go
He's
play in
still
Europe. He's in Boston.
Yeah,
he got
that's
traded
right.
for Kristaps.
And they hate him. Oh, no, Johnny Juzang. No, I'm stoked for him.
Johnny has other.
Kyle, I don't know why I read
things.
that as I'm reading it right now, Johnny Juzang. I was thinking George Niang. No, you do not have a beef with Johnny Juzang.
No, I like Johnny.
I take that back.
We actually talked to Johnny last year
at camp.
At camp. Johnny's a funny guy.
No, he's a great story, too.
Yeah.
No, I'm cheering for Johnny Juzang.
He is the most Southern California bro. He is pure LA. He's that guy. But he can really shoot the ball. And I actually think there's some potential. He's got great size. He's 6'7". He's 215. He's a high 30s shooter. And you know what? Good for Johnny. He has really evolved his game. Coming out of UCLA, he started at Kentucky. He was a huge recruit. Coming out of UCLA, he was like, I'm going to get to the mid-range and shoot over you. Kind of Cody Williams-esque.
Uh-huh.
And he's realized, like, well, my ticket is to just make threes, which is a little bit the boring part of the NBA right now. But he recognized it. He did not fight it. He embraced it. He did 2 probably really, really unexciting years in the G League, playing for the Stars. Got a much bigger chance with the Jazz last year on his 4-year deal that he signed. Only the first year was guaranteed, and then has turned it into another season at least in the NBA. And look, I think the Timberwolves need him. I think they need a shooter like that coming off the bench. So that will be beneficial. He will look good there.
Shoot
Like that?
play hard, and be pleasant to have around.
Don't be a headache. Absolutely.
And you know what? A guy like Johnny Juzang could certainly make it. When the Jazz acquired Jeff Green, it was really funny to look into his history because he's got size, skill, and you look that he never stayed with the same team 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
I think it's happened since, but at that point in his career, he had never stayed somewhere really 2 years in a row. I was like, God, I wonder why that is. And then a couple of months later, it's like you hear rumors like, "Oh, Jeff Green, this isn't working."
Yeah. I mean, what did he last 3 months with the Jazz?
Was it even that long?
They just waived him. I think they waived. No, we were doing the show together. They waived him right before the Jordan Clarkson trade. It was December 23rd, 2019. You and I were doing pre-half and post.
That's right.
And they signed Rajon Tucker that same night. And they got rid of everybody. They were just like, yeah, Jeff's gone. Ed Davis is never going to play anymore.
Oh, man, that didn't work. And who was the guard they signed? Oh, the dude who, why am I forgetting his name? The guy who, his story's amazing. He escaped from Africa. Who was that?
Oh, yeah.
High draft pick?
Yeah. By the Nuggets.
Anyway. Sorry, Ben.
No, you're fine. I know exactly who you're talking about.
He was super
Emmanuel
interesting.
Mudiay.
Yeah, Mudiay. He was super interesting, too.
He was more enjoyable than I expected him to be. More than Jeff, I thought. Regardless.
Oh, Mudiay, a different planet than Jeff.
Good for Johnny Juzang.
Yeah.
We'll see if it works out for him and what type of money. Really happy Jared Butler got a camp invite with the Phoenix Suns.
Oh, your favorite player meets your least favorite team. That's going to be an interesting conflict for you.
Yeah. Who do I root for? I don't know. All right. What's next?
Number 3. Did you guys catch that Hall of Fame game last night?
I watched every second.
Really?
No. They fumbled the opening kickoff, went to a review immediately, and I immediately got the midseason NFL woes of just like, oh my gosh. There's so many reviews. I love football, and sometimes it is so chunky and so clunky. And look, every sport is. But when I don't have a rooting interest, which of course I didn't have a rooting interest, A, I don't have one in the NFL period, but B, a rooting interest in the Hall of Fame game, which I don't like the field they play on. It doesn't have the atmosphere that a traditional NFL game does. Obviously, it's a very small field that they play behind the actual Hall of Fame, right? So it already feels a little flimsy, and they immediately go into A, quality of player is not there, hence fumbling the opening kickoff. And then B, the review, which is these refs are trying to prove that they belong to. So it's like watching a summer league game. And my interest level dropped. Though Trey Lance played awesome. He looked really good.
Surprised we didn't see Sione Vaki for the Lions.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a shocker, but
Can I ask this question? I didn't watch it. I couldn't generate the interest. Even though, with my fantasy football draft coming up, I probably should dial in. But nevertheless, Ben, let me ask you, how did they fumble the opening kick? Was it the returner who just muffed it, or what?
No,
what happened?
So they put a defensive player. They explained it, because I'd be lying if I could tell you who the 80th guy was on the preseason roster for the Detroit Lions. I think they said they put a defensive guy back there for a chance to return kicks. And he did catch it. But he got hit and ran right into the back of somebody and fumbled the ball.
Let me ask you this, because this is totally. I mean, I'm not talking about review. That's an absolute disaster. Get review out of sports. But imagine, Ben, that you are trying to make an NFL team. The NFL team asks you to go do something completely unnatural. Now add into the fact that it's the first NFL game of the season. It's the Hall of Fame game.
Yep.
You're just trying to make the team, and they say, go return kicks. Can you imagine how, one, nervous you would be, and two, how much more nervous you would be once you realize that there are 11 people running as hard as they can to take your head off? Fumbling in that situation, you may say, like, oh, the quality of play wasn't there. I see your point. completely forgivable in my opinion.
100% understandable.
I can't even imagine. They're like, "Hey, Anderson, go return kicks." Wait, what? I've never done. Get out there! This is the way you make the team.
And exactly,
I'd be so nervous,
and that's the
I
hard
wouldn't even
part.
be able to catch it. Are you kidding?
Is that it's probably smarter to just fair catch. We'll start the drive. But you're trying to earn a job.
You're trying to make
I've got
the
to make
team.
a play. I've got to show that I can make a play here. So not only do I have to bring this ball into play, I have to do something with it, which means I can't just angle for the sideline. I can't just trot, and they're never trotting into 15 yards. You're certainly not getting that. But, yeah, you're not playing it safe. So, yeah, you're out there trying to do something. And then, because you're playing with 10 other bozos on the field, you might not be the one who makes the mistake. There might have been a design for how to return that ball, and someone doesn't block the right person, and all of a sudden you're having to rearrange what your plan was. So, yeah. No, I don't envy them.
I'd be so nervous. Be like, my dream is literally on the line right now.
The NFL did last night implement the Hawkeye technology, which will measure first downs instead of bringing the chains out, and it looks exactly like tennis majors, where the camera zooms in over the top of the ball and it shows you whether it was over the line or not. The Hawkeye technology will now tell you whether it has made the chain or not.
Wow, I'm trying to decide if this is going to be a cat in the wall or actually a good idea. I mean,
if it speeds up the game.
Like the fat guy running out there with the chains does seem a tad time-wasty and old-fashioned.
And made up, right? I get the idea. Walk one of the yardage lines, grab the chain link there, and as long as you put it there, it'll translate from wherever you were on the sideline out to where you're measuring the ball. The ball's made up where they're putting the ball down. So this should speed up what is an otherwise purely flawed falsehood that this was ever accurate. So I don't care if it's accurate, but it should speed up the process.
Christian Cox joins us at the top of the 11 o'clock hour. We'll have more coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.